he is doing way too much. Surely they're going to find him out.
This show will kick off.
She does 5 different songs up in the air on various contraptions.
There's a problem at the heart of Big Brother.
I want to get on Victoria Beckham's payroll.
Oh, yeah. There always has been this discussion about the men's bottoms on Strictly.
This is Showbiz Fix, your destination for the inside scoop on all our celebrity exclusives and the biggest entertainment stories you're talking about. Big Brother's booted out a contestant this week for bad behaviour, and there's some rumbling drama around Strictly Celebrity's secret dance skills. But first, let's get into the Celebrity Traitors. So 6.5 million people tuned in to watch it last night. Rod, who do you think the standout celebrity was?
Oh, far and away, Alan Carr. I think most people will agree with that. He is just an absolute delight in it. Like, we know him as someone that comes out with a lot of really witty one-liners, and he does the same in this throughout, more than anybody else. And, you know, I think he's a real one to watch to win it. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that after one episode. But yeah, I think Alan Carr could win it.
It was quite funny how he just crumbled instantly, basically,
Yes.
and said, oh, well, if I was a traitor, I'd be sweating and I would draw loads of attention to myself. And it's like, yeah, you did exactly that. So.
Yeah, 100% he did that. And also the funniest thing was that he was talking to the other traitor, or one of the other traitors, and he's just chatting like we are now, like pss, pss, and it's like, and she's going, I think you need to just keep it a bit more on the down low, otherwise this is not going to work. And she was absolutely right. It was Cat Burns.
Cat Burns.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's going, oh, am I talking too loud? And everyone in the world's watching it going, 6.5 million people are going, yes, shh, you know. He's brilliant in it, though. He's brilliant.
I have to disagree. And he's absolutely a scene stealer, but he is doing way too much. Surely they're going to find him out, aren't they? Like, surely they're going to realise that he's a traitor.
You would think so, but it's almost like hiding in plain sight.
Yes.
If you're a traitor, you keep everything on the down low, but you don't sort of seem to be a traitor, and that's exactly. It's like a double bluff. He's either a bit daft or incredibly clever. I don't know which it is.
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, probably.
I just think that we're going to also see some rising stars from it. Like Nick Mohammed, he's so clever, and the way he solved those problems in the challenge. And I googled it. I was like, oh, yeah, he's an Oxford student, and like I know he's already a very established actor, but I do think that they're all going to gain some new fans from it as well. I felt so sorry for Claire Balding in that first task as well when she mucked up. Did you just think it was funny?
I was like, this is so funny because she seems like a really intelligent woman. And then I was like, why did you do that? Why are you being such a fool? And she was clearly beating herself up, and everyone else was very nice about it.
They were.
And I feel like maybe in like 2 days' time, if someone does that, they're not going to be as forgiving because they were very sweet about it.
Didn't Alan Carr use it to be like, I think she might be a traitor?
Tom Daly was like, Tom Daly said that's the thing a traitor would do. And I always find that a weird argument because traitors want money as well. Like they're not on there to lose everyone money. So I always feel like that's a weird argument.
I'm quite obsessed with how Tom Daly is like so competitive, and I feel like we might see a bit of an edge to him in the round table.
Oh, I agree, but it was weird because I was saying to myself, wow, Tom Daly's really competitive, and it's like, duh, he has won Olympic golds. So you kind of go, why was I ever surprised by that? But I think Tom will be one of the more interesting ones, you know. But the thing I find interesting is that there's certain people in that group already, I don't know if you two agree, who are just going to fall into the background. I think they're going to be a bit like cannon fodder. You know, that they're going to be used to sort of get, I don't know, shown the door, early doors, and no one's going to really miss them. And that's a controversial thing to say, but do you agree?
I think that they've got such an amazing lineup, like chef's kiss to the casting director. It's really hard for all of those stars to shine. Obviously, the bigger personalities are going to come through. That's why it's quite cool that Cat Burns, because I don't know much about her personality-wise, but because she's been made a traitor, like I think she'll probably garner loads of new fans from it as well. Charlotte Church seems to be kind of very earnest and working really hard, but I wonder if, like, she's almost coming across as quite serious, isn't she?
I think Cat Burns is a really interesting one. I've interviewed her on a few red carpets and things, and she's the most introverted celebrity I think I've ever met. She's so quiet and timid. And then in there, you know, she has sort of a bit of a dark side, doesn't she? You know, she said, because of her neurodivergence, she's like, I see everything black and white. I won't get emotionally involved. And I think, wow, that's actually all the skills of a killer traitor, you know? It'll be interesting to see how she gets on.
Also, I think it's so funny that like how some of their personalities are just like how they come across on screen and in their careers. Like Paloma Faith, like she's in her 40s, but she's so playful. She's like a schoolgirl, isn't she?
Yeah,
and she kind of
100%.
like, she does come across like that, because I thought she just had a bit of a like mockney playful persona just for like her pop career. But no, she's actually like that, which is quite refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, it's the first celebrity series of the Traitors, and I feel like I was unsure how it would go down, even though the casting is great. How do you think it's gone down with viewers?
I think it will go down with viewers very well. I mean, it's hard to say after one episode, but I think that they will quickly go, okay, this could have been dreadful, but it's actually really rather good. But I think the intrigue will come later down the line, because I think there's going to be a divide. In fact, I've heard that this is what happens. There's a divide that comes between the older members of the group and the younger members of the group, because there is that generational thing, isn't there, of the no nonsense, get on with it, and then the other people that are like, oh, I'm going to have to sort of take my time, I don't want to be triggered by anything.
And that always happens in the normal show, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
often quite, and like you say, like a generational thing, they do kind of separate into two groups. That's going to be so interesting to watch.
And somehow you think that because it's celebrities that they won't sort of rock the boat too much. But I think that is what happens. So, because you've got, I think, Celia Imrie, who's in her 70s, and then you've got other people that are in their 20s and everything in between. And I think you're going to see that divide broaden. And I think as viewers, we're going to love it.
And also, sorry to interrupt, it's so interesting seeing these celebrities get so into the game. Like, actually, a colleague of mine interviewed Paloma Faith last week. And although she didn't reveal any spoilers, she was like, a lot of them are really worried about how they come across on, how they're going to come across in the edit, because they obviously, it's like knives out. And what's actually quite sweet is apparently they all had a watch party at Stephen Fry's house last night. So
Amazing. That's a great show. But this show will kick off. You mark my words.
I'm excited.
It doesn't feel like it will right now, but it will kick off. So
who do you think's going to get the nastiest?
That's a great question. I don't feel like there's anyone standing out at the minute as the nastiest. I think Jonathan Ross is the most sort of scheming.
Yes.
He's very clever. He's very experienced, and he says that he's watched all of the shows from around the world. So he knows what he's doing, and he isn't afraid to play the game. In fact, I've seen tonight's second episode, and what I will say is he will show himself to be a very good traitor, put it that way. I can't say any more, but he's the one to watch in all this.
I think it's interesting with Jonathan because he's the sort of an authoritative figure in the group. He's a showbiz stalwart. He's been around for years. Everyone knows who he is there, but he's also like the dad. So I feel like people will trust him and maybe won't suspect him for that very reason, because he's should be the trustworthy one out of all of them,
Yeah, which makes him all the more entertaining, because you want it. It's like Nasty Nick in the first series of Big Brother, and you two are probably too young to remember. But basically, he was the one that was like kind of the father of the house, and then it turned out he was the one that was stabbing them all in the back.
Yeah.
So I think Jonathan Ross could be the new Nasty Nick of Celebrity Traitors.
One more thing to add as well, Stephen Fry, who's just, an absolute legend and national treasure. I love that there was a question about Shakespeare, and the first thing he did when they got back to the castle, he was like, I'm just going to go to the library and just get a Shakespeare book and just check my answer was correct. I was like, oh, bless him. He's so true to form.
Yeah, but I didn't quite believe that, because I thought to myself, what, you're going to go and read Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet and mark down everyone that died? How much time have you got? You're only in the castle for like 2 weeks.
So you thought he was being performative?
I did wonder. I mean, how much time have you got to go through 2 plays and work out who's died? Anyway.
Is that not what you do for fun?
Yeah. I mean, I am that boring. I'm probably a bit more boring than that, but...
So, quick question. If you were a traitor, who would be the person who you would recruit to be a traitor with you out of the, faithfuls who are left?
So I can't pick someone who's already a traitor?
No, if you are Alan Carr, Jonathan Ross and Cat Burns, who are you recruiting next?
That's a really good question.
I know who I would recruit. I would recruit Celia Imrie, because people just look at her with such respect, and I just don't think she comes across as a traitor.
I would pick some of the sort of more B-list, A-listers, because I think most people don't want the A-listers to go. And I think subconsciously, some of the people that are the ones that you wouldn't mind going, I would pick one of those. I'm not going to name names because that seems cruel, but you know who I'm talking about. It wouldn't be a Kate Garraway. It wouldn't be a Tom Daley. It certainly wouldn't be a Tom Daley, because I think a lot of people are going to get very suspicious, because someone who's that competitive draws a lot of attention to themselves. So Tom Daley is the last person I'd pick, put it that way.
It's always a shame with a celebrity reality show like this that people actually get voted off early, because I just know that there's going to be people who I really want to see, you know, funny scenes from go early. I'm like, I'll be devastated if Alan Carr gets found out first as a traitor, because I want to see him on screen for the next 4 weeks, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally. But I mean, I suppose that's also the good thing about it is that anyone could go. Yeah. And you don't want it where you go, all right, well, the sort of all the B-listers go in the first 2 weeks and all the A-listers stay for the second week, because otherwise you probably, well, I'll just start watching it in a couple of weeks then.
And also, if Alan Carr does go, you might get some of the other personalities shine. Like the comedian Joe is so funny, and he's very deadpan, but I feel like we haven't seen that much of him yet.
Although he's the favourite to win.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but I find that mystifying as well, because it's like, well, what's that based on? We haven't even seen him on the show. And it's not like he's as famous a stand-up star as, say, like Alan Carr, and yet he's the favourite to win. I do find it very odd. And Stephen Fry is the least favourite to win, if that makes sense. So... strange.
I also love that there's no audience interaction. Like, it's not even based on their fan bases. It's all on how they played the game. So, yeah. Already obsessed, clearly.
Yeah, me too.
It's not the only bit of reality TV drama this week. So obviously this week, George Gilbert, who went into the show late, was booted off Big Brother for unacceptable language and behaviour. And he's put out a statement saying, sadly, the boundaries of what is deemed offensive are subjective. And I evidently went too far this time by crossing their line one too many times. What do you think of this? Because Big Brother has always been a show about having a mixture of people involved. And ITV has said that they didn't air some of his comments, and they haven't aired the remark that got him booted out of the house. Do you think that they should have done? And, you know, should he have stayed?
Given that it's been reported by us and confirmed by ITV that it was anti-Semitic, I mean, I do think that in light of recent current events, it probably is good for everyone involved that they didn't air it. But it's also meant to be a show that encourages conversations, and a lot of people are saying, well, you know, why cast all these controversial characters if you're not going to air their conversations? So yeah, ITV are in a really difficult position. What do you think?
I think that Big Brother, there's a problem at the heart of Big Brother, and it was the same this year when Mickey Rourke was on the celebrity version, and it's that this is a show that courts controversy, and then when it gets controversy, reacts to it, and it's a question of whether they should react to it the way that they have, and I just think, well, we can't really grumble. I think this is what happens is people attack Big Brother and say, why are you allowing this to be on your show? Well, that's the whole premise of the show. But they have done this before. Do you remember there was the girl that used racist language? I think she was singing a song a bit, you know, like what was alleged with John Turode recently, and she used a particularly racist word.
This was on Channel 5 though, wasn't
it? Yeah.
It wasn't on ITV.
No.
I wonder if it's more censored now it's on ITV.
Maybe, but it's still the same principle, isn't it? Is that there is a line that you can't cross. The trouble is that, let's be right, that the producers want you to go as close to the line as possible. They caught that controversy. So I suppose the question is, should Big Brother be on our screens at all if you're then going to court controversy and then kick people off when they're controversial?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I do think that a lot of people are complaining about, like, they go so close to the line, but then they can't see them crossing it. But there are also really important conversations and generational conversations, I think, to have on television, especially with recent trans issues. I think it's really important that people have these discussions, even though they're difficult and sometimes quite hard to stomach when you're watching them. I just think it's really important that you know, everyone learns and moves forward, because if things are just banned from conversation, there's no kind of way out and moving forward with things. I don't know. What do you think, Hal?
There's no debate or discussion in that respect, is there? Exactly. And then how do you move forward as a society without that debate? It just fuels the culture wars in some ways, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that what's good about Big Brother is that it brings people together who are like in their 60s and 70s, and people that are teenagers and 20-somethings. And say if you're someone who's a little bit older, maybe doesn't use the right language to discuss things, you might be coming from a very kind and liberal place, but not know not to use certain words and language. For those younger people to then educate them and have a discussion and a debate is a really good thing thing to have in front of a national audience.
And those discussions and debates will be happening around dinner tables up and down the country, because I guarantee you put most sort of people over 60, a lot of people over 60 in this country in there, they would probably say something inoffensive and they wouldn't realise it was inoffensive, or it would be a generational situation. So this is how some people maybe who don't have children or grandchildren are going to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And it's really interesting. And I think it's a worthy thing to do. The trouble is that when things like this happen, and I'm not saying that what they did was right or wrong, but when things like this happen, the next time someone goes on the show or thinks about going on the show, they're going to think, well, why would I go on there when that happens to me? You know, you go on, get told to talk about things, you talk about things, get cancelled.
I was having my makeup done for the Attitude Awards last night, actually, and the guy doing my makeup said that he was asked to be in the first series, and part of him still wants to do it, but he's worried that, you know, he's going to say something that will get him cancelled and then won't have a career as a makeup artist afterwards. No one would want to employ him. So these people are going to have to make those decisions.
Exactly. I think that's the risk you take with reality TV these days, and it's a fine line to tread. Also, though, I think there's just so much TV this week. Victoria Beckham, 3-part Netflix documentary has dropped today. Rod, you've seen
all of it.
All of it?
All of it, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to know because I'm desperate to watch this. I think Victoria is such an intriguing character. What do we find out in the show?
The main things that we find out, or what I took from it anyway, she talks about having an eating disorder. She talks about the attention there's always been on her body shape and her health, and how, as is often the case, this was a form of control for her. But there were other things in there as well. So she talks, and she's very candid about this, about how the business, the fashion business, was millions in debt, and the strange things that she used to do to run up this debt. I mean, there were more wider issues, but she did things like, she said that she would fly chairs around the world. So, she didn't elaborate on that, but I took it to mean that, say if she had a nice chair in Los Angeles that she wanted to use in a Paris fashion show, she'd say, oh, well, we'll just fly that from LA to Paris. Or something. That's what I took from it. I don't know exactly what that meant, but I can't really see what else it meant. And that she spent £70,000 a year on plants for her office.
Oh, my goodness.
And then she paid someone 15 grand to water them. And I was like, Victoria, if you'd have given me that 85 grand, I'd have looked after your plants and watered them for you.
I want to get on Victoria Beckham's payroll.
Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think the job's gone now. Okay. But yeah, it was that kind of thing that all the way through that I was like, wow. But she comes across quite humble. She still comes across... It's funny because this is all about her as Victoria Beckham, this international fashion designer. But there's still so many traits of posh spice in there, which I really, really liked. She came across as being really endearing. And also David comes across as just being... I think as he's getting older, he just becomes more and more like a regular bloke. You know, gone are the days when he was like this sort of 20-something pin-up. Now he's quite happy being a husband and a father and a former footballer. But honestly, guys, it's well worth a watch. And it's only 3 parts. So it's not like one of these Netflix 10-parters where you're like, oh, God, I'm losing the will to live.
Even though she's famous for pouting on the red carpet, she's known in the industry to have quite a good sense of humour. Does that come across?
Yes, it does. And it's interesting because I remember when the Spice Girls got back together in about, was it 2008? I did a round table with them. And even though I thought that, because she was posh and she was in that phase where she still didn't smile, she came and stood around the table, and of the 5 of them, her and Sporty were the loveliest. And she was incredibly giving. She could see that there was a group of us journalists that had turned out on like a Wednesday night at Manchester Arena, and we were asking questions, and let's just say some of them weren't very forthcoming. Some sort of sat back like this. She was the most interactive, giving. She was adorable. And it's funny because that doesn't come across, because she's the person on the red carpet that never smiles. But in real life, she's lovely, and that does come across in this documentary.
Obviously, the big story this year has been her family's feud with Brooklyn and Nicola. Is Brooklyn in the documentary?
No, but in their defence, this was filmed some time ago, I think. I may be wrong here. I'm pretty sure it's filmed about a year ago.
But any of the kids in the documentary?
Oh, yeah. The kids are in the documentary. You don't see Brooklyn much,
Right.
but you do see the other kids. And she talks about her kids. She doesn't talk about them specifically, which I thought was quite admirable. She talks about them as a family, as the kids. But their daughter gets quite a lot of airtime, which is surprising. You hear her daughter speak, which correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever heard her speak before, or have we?
Harper did a speech at an awards, I think it might have been Glamour Women of the Year Awards, to give Victoria an award a while ago. So we've heard her speak, and, you know, the word on the street is that very shortly she will be launched into the public sphere as a celebrity in her own right.
In what way? What do you think she'll do? Like be into fashion as well?
I think sort of like an influencer realm for the start. And then I guess she'll see what she does. I mean, you could really see her becoming the next Kylie Jenner. You know, she could be the UK's Kylie Jenner.
I mean,
Totally.
yeah, and she's got a great wardrobe, hasn't she? Imagine raiding Victoria Beckham's wardrobe. That'd be
Exactly.
amazing.
I mean, she was at the premiere last night in a gown that was thousands of pounds. You know, most people in their wildest dreams have never worn a dress that expensive, and she's there 15 years old walking down the red carpet in it.
Presumably that was a Victoria Beckham dress.
I'm sure it was.
Could you imagine if she rocked up in something
Loved
else?
also at the premiere, we got a mini Spice Girls reunion. We got Emma Bunton, Jerry Halliwell, Sporty Spice, but no Mel B.
Where was Mel B? That's what we want to know.
I think she's abroad. I'm sure she posted with her new
that's
husband,
right, yeah.
who's got a very similar name to you. He's called Rory McPhee, isn't he?
That's right, Anna.
I wonder whether Vicky B said, maybe for the best we keep Mel B away to stop the drama, but I would have liked to have seen her there.
Yeah, totally. And what makes me laugh is that Mel B has been on a campaign for the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe this is why she wasn't there. She's been on a campaign for the last 2 or 3 years to get the Spice Girls back together. And I think she's made a few like jokey but semi-serious remarks about Posh, saying, oh, she really annoys me. Why can't we just get back together? That's my Mel B impersonation.
Very good.
And spooky, isn't it? It's like she's here. But basically, she might have snubbed it because obviously the Spice Girls reunion, if it is happening, it isn't going to involve Posh. Or is that right? Is that wrong?
I think that's the latest.
I think we're not going to see Posh back on stage with the Spice Girls for a very long time, if ever. But
Such a shame.
let's see what the future holds. I don't know. In terms of performing, Strictly Come Dancing is, up and running now. But there are all these stories that keep coming out about loads of the contestants having former dance training. So what can you tell us about that, Rod?
So this has all come from really Lewis Cope signing up for the show. So he was sort of a last-minute stand-in. He came onto the show, and Lewis has been in Billy Elliot, the musical. So he has a West End experience. And he trained in dance, he trained in all these other sort of performing areas. Then Amber Davies came in when Danny Dyer left.
Also last minute. So
Yes.
maybe that's part of it. The last minute dancers need dance training because they maybe have to come in at the last minute.
And to be fair, you can sort of see it from Strictly's point of view. Do you want someone to come in who can't dance at all and have 2 days training? And then we'd all be up in arms. Well, why have you let this happen? And then when they bring in someone that can dance, it's why have you let this happen? So it is slightly unfair on Strictly. But then what we're also talking about this week is the fact that Lavoie also has some dance experience. And also Karen, who gave that amazing jive in week 1. She's been dancing since she was like about 4 years old. So there is this question of, what constitutes dance training and dance experience? And at what point do you say that's unfair? I mean, what do you think?
Well, the thing is that, I mean, it is unfair. If I was on Strictly, like you look at Tom Skinner, Jimmy, Floyd Hasselbank, these guys have literally never danced before. Chris Robshaw, and, they're trying their hardest, Vicky Patterson, and that you are up against people who have performed on the West End. It would be really, I know I would probably feel inwardly a bit frustrating. But having said that, we have seen it all before. Like Ashley Roberts, a former Pussycat Doll, has performed in the past. This is always the same story every year.
And also, though, you have to remember it's all about the journey on Strictly. So if you are great in week 1, it really does not mean at all that you might make the final or that you'll win. Or you might make the final, but people won't like you as much than if you're really rubbish on week 1 and then by the end you have developed some skills and you are doing it.
Do you know, if I was Amber or Lewis, I would almost play down my dancing in week 1. I would be like deliberately a bit So then people would maybe get me a bit to halfway through the show. Then I'd pull out my skills because, like you say, they want the journey, don't they?
Yeah, I love the idea of you being on Strictly saying, "I'm deliberately being crap, by the way. I'm actually brilliant."
Well,
so I'm
Hannah,
playing it down.
Hannah, when you get the call up, we'll be talking about you doing it there. Is there any other gossip from the show this week, Hannah?
Well, I have done an interview for Sunday's paper with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. And you know what everyone was talking about after his dance last weekend, don't you?
Right. So his trousers, is that what we're talking about?
This is new to me, Hannah. Please elaborate.
Well, it was widely reported that he was dancing, I think the rumba, and it was like a kind of Havana theme. He was wearing quite bunched chinos, but audience members couldn't help but notice the bulge. So by Sunday's paper, and you will see what he's got to say about it.
Sorry, is this a bulge at the front or the bulge at the back?
The front, darling.
Right, okay. It's just that there always has been this discussion about the men's bottoms on Strictly. Yeah, because if there has.
There has in Rod's house.
And it's just me in the house. No, it's actually because the Strictly costume designers do something to the men's trousers to give them that appearance. I'm doing this with my hand.
What to make their bottoms more rotund?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they do? What make them really tight?
Well, I don't know, Hannah. If I knew, I'd be doing it to my own trousers.
Right. We need to get some plates and stick them around our trousers or something, I think. Right. So, bin or binge? I want to know what you are loving and hating this week. So, Hannah, go on. Kick us off. What are you binging this week?
I am literally binging Netflix drama Monster, the horror story of Ed Gein. He was the first ever serial killer in America. And it's absolutely must watch, but car crash TV. It's horrifying but amazing, and Charlie Hunnam plays the lead, and he is compelling.
And how scary is it? Because I'm not very good with scary things.
Oh, you won't be able to watch it then, Howell, because it is terrifying to the point where I'm quite embarrassed to say this. After getting halfway through the series and some of the more disturbing things start to happen, I had to go to bed with my lamp on because I didn't want to sleep in the dark. It's so embarrassing, but it is really scary.
And what are you binning?
I'm binning Nicole Scherzinger.
Oh,
because I know people who went to see her perform at the Royal Albert Hall on Monday night, and she kept them waiting for 1 hour, sang 4 songs, and then waltzed off and had a break, and then kept them waiting again for the interval. And apparently they had to aggressively clap to get her to come back out. She's not Madonna.
She's a diva. I like that. How about you, Rod? What are you binging this week?
It's an obvious choice, but I am literally binging Celebrity Traitors. And I know I feel like I have to pick that because I'm the TV editor, but it is brilliant. It is every bit as good as you'd imagine. And the thing that I am binning is Prime Video's treatment of the Bond movies. Because, they've done this thing where they've taken the gun out of the hand of every James Bond in their little blurbs. And I just think it's the most ridiculously woke, unnecessary, stupid, counterproductive thing they could have possibly done. And they've done it. Why don't they just take away his sort of dinner suit and jacket, and also they're just sort of standing there with like an empty hand. It looks like there should be a banana in there or a cucumber or something. It's like, just don't do it. That's going straight in the bin for me.
Perhaps for the next film, there won't be any violence at all. They'll just be sitting around the table, having a nice time drinking a non-alcoholic.
And they'll exchange insults, and it's just ridiculous.
But nothing too rude.
No.
I am binning Taylor Swift's album. I'm so sorry.
All right.
The Life of a Showgirl, I feel like it's all we've spoken about all week. The sales figures are astronomical, but the fact that she's doing all of these variants really does not fall well with me. She, I think, has done over 20 different variants of this album now. And I just think the vinyl and the CDs are going to be in landfill, because why do you need 20 copies of the same album? And then the digital downloads and things with like one audio note on this one, and you pay another $10.99 and get another audio note on this one. It feels really disingenuous from someone who is meant to be the girl next door, the relatable person. It's like, this feels really money grabbing. And I'm like, I know you've got a wedding to pay for, but I think it's probably paid for already.
What do you think of her treatment of Charlie XCX with Actually Romantic as well? I know you're Team Charlie.
I'm very Team Charlie, and I think Charlie's original song was about her own insecurities, and it was very vulnerable and sweet. I think a lot more has gone on behind the scenes for this song to emerge on Taylor's album. Do I think that Charlie will respond, though? No. I hope she doesn't.
Why?
I think she's above that. I don't think she'd stoop that low. And I feel like this is a low blow from Taylor, punching down on another female artist. So I'll put that there. On another note, entirely though, I had the night of my life on Tuesday. I went to Katy Perry's Lifetimes tour, which has just started in the UK. I feel like people love to punch down on Katy Perry as well. But you go to that show, they are people of every generation there. I saw a little girl on the way there who had a sign saying, "Katy, you're going to hear me roar." And it really warmed my heart. Inside, she has put so much work into this show. It's a staging and set like you've never seen before. She does 5 different songs up in the air on various contraptions. And the set list is amazing. She's so warm and fun. And I just think if you have the chance to go and see that tour this week, I really recommend it.
You've met her before, haven't you?
I've met her a couple of times, actually, yeah. And
what's she like?
She's always been nice. I think she's often been a bit reserved. I've only met her, the 2 times I've met her have been in the last 6 years. So not when she was at her, teenage dream peak. And I feel like she has been a bit sort of hurt by the industry. But she's fabulous, and I think it's all going to come back round. I think in the next few years, people are going to start giving Katy Perry her flowers again, and we are going to celebrate her for the incredible back catalogue that she has and, what an amazing impact she's had on pop culture.
You see, I agree with you on this because I don't get Taylor Swift. And yes, I'm old. I get it. I just don't get the appeal. I get some of the appeal. She's clearly a good songwriter, etc., etc. She's got an awful lot of fantastic qualities. She can sing, everything. But I also think there's an awful lot of other people around, like Katy Perry, like Lady Gaga, an awful lot of other artists who've been around for as long, if not longer, have an amazing back catalogue, do great artistry with their music and their videos that don't get the same level of credit. And that's what I don't get, is that Katy Perry is a great artist, but she's sort of eclipsed by Taylor, and I just don't understand why. Why do you think it is? I mean, I don't really know what I'm talking about, clearly.
I'm not sure. I think because Taylor's brand is so big and so unique, and she appeals to a much younger audience. But what I would like to see, and I wonder what you think about this, both Katy Perry and Charlie XCX are victim of Taylor's hit tracks. Obviously, remember Bad Blood from years ago. I wonder if they'll be reaching out to each other.
I'm sure there's something going on behind the scenes, There's probably a friendship there. Charlie supported Taylor on tour, but also, I think, has supported Katy on tour a long time ago as well. So, look, we'll see what happens. I think Taylor's going to still be reigning supreme for a while, but hey, I'll give her flowers for now. That's your Showbiz Fix for this week. Remember to leave your comments for us down below. And don't forget, you can subscribe to us on YouTube so you don't miss your weekly Showbiz Fix. And you can hear us wherever you get your podcasts from. See you next week.